Anti-corruption campaigner lauds the 5-member committee of parliament investigating the alleged bribery allegation for hearing in public, but is unhappy there is curtailed transparency because of limitation to the number of witnesses.
Even though they are sitting in public and we are hearing what people are saying, the transparency that they sought to portray is being curtailed.
At the first hearing of the investigative committee, Chairman of Parliament's Appointments Committee, Osei-Owusu, said he did not have any interactions with Boko Central MP Mahama Yariga. Neither did he receive any money from the Minister for Energy, Boache.
I and Muntaka never discussed anything to do with money. Neither have I taken any money from Honorable Ejako.
So how transparent will this investigation be, especially as the committee also refuses to engage the media? Will the public hearing bring back the lost confidence? Will the outcome of the investigations be affected by the limited number of witnesses? We'll be getting responses shortly on today's big story. My name is Aisha Brian. At the first hearing of the investigative committee probing the alleged bribery allegation that hit Parliament's appointment committee last month, first witness Mr. Osei-Owusu, who is chairman of the appointments committee and also first deputy speaker of parliament, denied allegations by Boko MP Mahama Yariga that the said money was to influence a decision on the energy minister nominee, adding he never discussed the issue with Mr. Yariga. Let's see what transpired when the first witness faced the committee.
Honorable Yariga says that it was Honorable Muntaka who told him. And I said that if Muntaka told him that, Muntaka was also telling an untruth, and that neither I or I and Muntaka never discussed anything to do with money. Neither have I taken any money from Honorable Ejako for myself or for anybody. The Speaker, throughout the weekend, the discussions that were going on was terrible. Very presumptuous conclusions drawn by people in the media. So I came to a conclusion that this matter should not end here. I should bring it back to the floor of the House. So, Mr. Speaker, on Tuesday, I made a statement on the floor of the House. My main intention was to go to court. And the reason I wanted to go to court was that if this matter was not settled at a forum where alleging, go around, take all corners.
To all they can say is that it is true.
Oh, they are bringing in people from here, inviting, you know.
So you to bring people to say it's not true.
So how can I bring people when something has not happened? You know, so I considered, I had a meeting. My lawyer is my junior. I trained in Kofrodia. Fortunately, I was in Kofrodia. So we had long meetings. We came to a conclusion that the challenge any litigation with an MP would have is how to serve a process.
So, as you were leaving the Speaker's lobby, can you tell us why you went back and decided to approve them by consensus?
It was because the reason for the minority members objecting to or not supporting their nomination had been resolved to the satisfaction of the minority members.
Was that brought to the floor, to the chamber?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, after it had been resolved in the Speaker's lobby, we came to report on it, and then I amended the report in the chamber based on the consensus that had been reached at the Speaker's lobby.
Thank you. Honourable members, do you have any questions?
Chairman, just a few questions. And the first one is the conclave meeting. You mentioned at the conclave meeting, it was Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa who spoke. Did Honorable Ayariga speak on the issue that you raised?
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Ayariga did not. When I said that that matter should be resolved, as I said, he had raised his hand, but all the other members said, cool it down, take it easy, take it easy. In fact, as soon as we entered the room, the minority leader said, oh, Mr. Speaker, you seem too visibly shaking, please take it easy. But after I raised the issue that it be resolved as such, Ayariga did not speak. It was rather Okujeto who spoke. Honorable Ayariga, Honorable Okujeto. I'm sorry, I apologize. Honorable Ayariga, Honorable Okujeto. All their constituencies.
But former executive director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative says limiting the witnesses to just 4 is problematic. Let's listen to him.
Well, initially, some of us thought that if they should just extend it to cover other bribery allegations as previously made by other people. But of course, Parliament decided to do otherwise. So we have no choice than to limit ourselves to this specific bribery allegation. Now, again, there are some restrictions. They are going by the rules of Parliament. So it is virtually an internal inquiry or investigation. And even though they are sitting in public and we are hearing what people are saying, they are limiting the witnesses to just 4. And then other person who has something to say has to write a memorandum. So the transparency that they sought to portray is being curtailed by this limitation of the number of witnesses and the fact that another person has to write.
Why would that be a limitation? Because they basically say that, well, if you think that this so-and-so person should be testifying before us, just write to us and we will call them.
Yes, but you see, you have to be able to justify why you think this other person has to be called, and we will not be part of that justification process.
I see. Would you say?
And it's so narrow to limit to just the 4 witnesses.
From GII's perspective, I mean, I know you're no longer there with working with them, but you could still be with them. I mean, if you've got any issues, you think that there are some other people who should be testifying, would you be putting those names together and sending it to the committee?
Well, you've already said I'm no longer with GII. I don't know GII's stand on this.
Okay.
And so even if they have people, I cannot talk for them whether they will send any other. I mean, they will make any recommendations at all. But as an individual citizen, I don't have the capacity to find out if there are other people who have a concrete evidence to present before the committee.
If we can look at timing, would you say that the committee sitting has been swift, or would you say, well, it's taken a while?
Well, I think that they have elements to do their work. It has already delayed a bit. And then after sitting today, they are waiting till Friday. We don't know how far they will go. But I think today's sitting looked nice. It looked open and transparent.
The chairman makes it clear that they will not be discussing this matter in the media. Is it in the interest of say credibility, or do you think he's sort of gagging somehow some members on the committee, if assuming any of them wants to talk to the media?
Well, I think that Parliament as a body has agreed that they should go this way. They trust the committee. I think they both contributed to the committee. And so maybe unless at the end of the day, some people are dissatisfied. But I think during the process, it's fair to say, okay, they should just, if they have the evidence, they should present it to the committee.
All right, so let's do some analysis now. Joining me in the studio is David Agbe, Executive Director of the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much, Aisha.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
But what's your preliminary assessment or preliminary impression about this committee as they begin their work today?
Yes, Aisha, I must say that I'm happy that at least Parliament has, actually set up a committee to investigate this scandal, if I could call it so. It's very much important that Parliament cleanse itself, because as it is now, the image of Parliament has been actually dented or affected, as to speak. So it is quite important that they've established a committee and the committee is ready to work on it, especially that it has come into the public domain of they covering it live for everybody to see actually what is happening. Although out there, people are still having it at the back of their mind that the investigation is not going to come to nothing, in that people do have a perception that maybe there will be a certain cover-up here and there. So I think that it is good enough that they are doing it public, but then the perception is still out there that there wouldn't be much of transparency for us to unearth what actually transpired with regards to the allegation that they were actually bribed during the vetting committee process.
I think the other interesting concerns that has been raised by anti-corruption crusaders was the fact that they were thinking, or they were expecting the committee to actually deal with all the other corruption allegations, so to sort of overhaul the House and bring the House back to scene and bring back the lost confidence. But that didn't happen. How does that make you feel?
I think we need to be specific here. If we want to jump everything together, we might not be able to find an antidote to the corruption scandal. I do believe that all the people who have alleged, one, Honorable Mahama Yarga will be invited, obviously. We are expecting that Okudzeto-Ablakwa and then what's his name? Mahama Yarga, Okudzeto-Ablakwa, and then Suhini. All of them will have an opportunity to actually testify whether what they allege is actually the case or they were just trying to do, usual, politics. But I do believe that the issue is beyond ordinary politics between MPP and NDC. As we speak now, the image of our parliament is not about NDC or MPP. The image of our parliament is the fact that, yes, Parliament, the Select Committee, has been bribed during the vetting process. And so they need to actually cleanse themselves. The Parliament need to be more resolute trying to fight corruption. It is not only these three gentlemen. I mean, we've all listened to Honorable Babin, we've listened to PC Apio-Fori, and all those people have expressed, various concerns. A very strong one, indeed, that Parliamentary Select Committee, normally what actually goes in there is not something, palatable. Don't forget that during the Vodafone, sales agreement,
exactly.
I mean, they all make a very strong point in there that there was something, underhand dealing. And so Parliament should not gloss over some of these allegations. They have the audacity of investigating other people during, Public Accounts Committee here and there. And so if an allegation has been, more like somebody has alleged within, this one is not somebody outside, within Parliament, somebody has alleged that there were some underhand dealings here and there. They should show commitment to fight it. Because if they do not do that, nobody is going to take our parliament serious anymore.
They may not even have the impetus to even
exactly
investigate
other people. For now, everybody, or if I could use the word, most Ghanaians are very skeptical with regards to our parliament, the way they are handling things. And so the perception is out there that Parliament will not be able to resolve some of these things. They will be doing some kind of, face saving and what we will call window dressing. They will be doing all that. But we want them to come to a finality that this is what actually transpired, and so that we can all fight against corruption. If any parliamentarian sit on radio or on TV talking about the fact that corruption, we should be able to deal with it, nobody is going to take that person serious. So it is most important that within Parliament, they should be ready to fight this corruption head on, so that at least their image could be, saved rather than, yes,
saved,
exactly.
of course. But there are concerns also that limiting the witnesses to just 4 and asking anyone who feels there should be more to write to the committee for it to determine whether or not to add on is a curtailment of transparency in the ongoing investigation. I would find out your assessment about that. But first, let's listen to the former executive director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, who is sharing this concern.
Well, initially, some of us thought that if they should just extend it to cover other bribery allegations as previously made by other people. But of course, Parliament decided to do otherwise. So we have no choice than to limit ourselves to this specific bribery allegation. Now, again, there are some restrictions. They are going by the rules of Parliament. So it is virtually an internal inquiry or investigation. And even though they are sitting in public and we are hearing what people are saying, they are limiting the investigation, the witnesses to just 4. And then another person who has something to say has to write a memorandum. So the transparency that they sought to portray is being curtailed by this limitation of the number of witnesses and the fact that another person has to write.
Why would that be a limitation? Because they basically say that, well, if you think that this so-and-so person should be testifying before us, just write to us and we will call them.
Yes, but you see, you have to be able to justify why you think this other person has to be called, and we will not be part of that justification process.
I see. Would you say?
And it's so narrow to limit to just the 4 witnesses.
From GII's perspective, I mean, I know you're no longer there with working with them, but you could still be with them. I mean, if you've got any issues, you think that there are some other people who should be testifying, would you be putting those names together and sending it to the committee?
Well, you've already said I'm no longer with GII. I don't know GII's stand on this.
Okay.
And so even if they have people, I cannot talk for them whether they will send any other. I mean, they will make any recommendations at all. But as an individual citizen, I don't have the capacity to find out if there are other people who have a concrete evidence to present before the committee.
If we can look at timing, would you say that the committee sitting has been swift, or would you say, well, it's taken a while?
Well, I think that they have a month to do their work. It has already delayed a bit. And then after sitting today, they are waiting till Friday. We don't know how far they will go. But I think today's sitting looked nice. It looked open and transparent.
The chairman makes it clear that they will not be discussing this matter in the media. Is it in the interest of say credibility, or do you think he's sort of gagging somehow some members on the committee, if assuming any of them wants to talk to the media?
Well, I think that Parliament as a body has agreed that they should go this way. They trust the committee. I think they both contributed to the committee. And so maybe unless at the end of the day, some people are dissatisfied. But I think during the process, it's fair to say, okay, they should just, if they have the evidence, they should present it to the committee.
All right, so that's former executive director of the GII saying that he has a problem with the witnesses being limited to just 4. And what's your assessment of this situation? Will it affect the outcome of the investigation?
I think that looking at what my senior said, Mr. Vitus Azim, he has been a very strong and passionate person when it comes to the issue of corruption. I think that his point is quite legitimate when it comes to the fact that it is only limited to about 4 or 3 people. Some of us do have a belief that the caucus or the vetting committee, the minority, they are not only 4, they are more like, 11 people. So are they saying that it is only Mahama Yariga, Honorable Mahama Yariga, Okujetu Ablakwa and Suhini alone? I think that there are quite a number of people. I've also listened to some of the committee members.
We had the names of
Nielante, Van der Poy.
Nielante, Van der Poy.
Yes.
All of them were dragged into this issue.
Exactly.
So
they are 11. They are 11. You know, members from the minority side.
Definitely.
And so, as we speak now, majority. It is not quite necessary that they should invite some of the majority group, but the minority caucus, they need to actually interrogate some of them to find out whether they could go a long way to be able to establish some kind of legitimacy.
Nielante Van der Poy, whose name was mentioned,
exactly.
that he was in the office of Muntaka when the former education minister was handing over his money back to. That's quite serious allegation. I think he must be brought in.
It is. They have to more like broaden the scope rather than to situate it within only 4 or 3 people. Exactly. It might not be able to serve the interest. As we said earlier on, we do not want a window dressing kind of finding solution. It will not help. Window dressing, you could paint it out there, but the image of the parliament, the Ghanaian parliament outside there is quite questionable. Right. And so they need to find a way of addressing some of these things holistically. And I do also disagree with my senior Vitus Azim that other allegations like the Vodafone deal and other scandals they need to interrogate. I think that we should be able to deal with the issue with that limit of time of being specific. This is a serious allegation that has come to the fore, and so let's try to investigate this one before other matters comes in. So I think that Parliament should do whatever is honorable enough. We do address them as honorable, so we expect them to carry themselves in that manner to be able to address some of these things. If not, they can.
So would you call for another committee to be set up to look into all these other allegations, or you want the same committee to handle all those matters?
The big question that some of us initially, when the issue came out, we were trying to share our views, was the fact that we thought that they could have some independent people. Some of us were much interested that if they should call us, some of us will come in to help establish the truth of the whole allegation. But Parliament were saying that they will be able to handle their own issues matters here and there. But it shouldn't be so. At a certain point in time.
So you rather call for an independent body to investigate some of these matters.
In cooperation with the committee members, so that at least we can get some established fact. All that every Ghanaian wants is that the image of our parliament needs to be well cleansed, and they need to have a certain level of confidence. Right. If they do not do that, as we speak now, the 275 parliamentarians who betides you to go somewhere and talk about corruption, because you yourself,
people may not
you've not been able to cleanse yourself.
But
you don't have the moral audacity.
The House is expected to sit again on Friday. You remember a lot of controversy came up when the House settled on the 5-member committee. Some talked about they could be biased. They talked about self-interest, and all of that came to play. But finally, we settled on this 5-member committee. I think we should listen to Chairman of the committee, Joe Gatti, when he was outlining the rules for the game. He says the Constitution and the standing orders of Parliament will guide the committee. Let's listen to him, and then we can interrogate it.
We are a committee of Parliament, that we shall be guided by the standing orders of Parliament. I want to refer you to a few of them, which we'll be relying on. I want to refer you to Order 196, Order 197, and Order 200. Order 196 says that we shall meet to consider such business on a day and hour named by the chairman in respect of that business. After today's meeting, we shall meet again on Friday. After today's meeting, our next meeting will be on Friday. 197 says that the deliberations of a committee shall be confined to a matter referred to it by the House, and any extension or limitations to it made by the House. Honorable members, we wish to remind ourselves that we are not engaged on a wild goose chase, or we are not fishing ad infinitum. We are guided by the terms of reference given to us by the House, and we shall not go outside it. I also want us to remind us of Order 200. It says, in committees, the standing orders of the House shall be observed so far as may be applicable. The chairman of the committee shall maintain order in the committee, deciding all questions of order.
All right, so those are clear guidelines that has been enumerated by the chairman of the House. Do you still feel that the outcome of the investigations may be compromised?
I think that with what Honorable Jogate said is the precise way of handling the matter, because in public administration, you cannot do away with, your constitution. You need to have an obligation to the constitution, and more to the point, other, legislative or other instruments, and the instruments are the standing orders. So those are the things that we are looking forward for. Apart from that, we are looking forward for their personal, integrity. We have an obligation to the profession and to be more professional in your dealings. So we expect them to be more professional. We expect them to, hold the country in high esteem. They should have that sense of allegiance to the country. What we are talking about is corruption. We all know the effect of corruption, in terms of our governance processes. And so we should be able to deal with it. And they are the strong arms of government. The legislature is the architecture that steers the affairs of every legislation. And so they should be able to have that moral courage, have that professional ethics, and be able to situate it using the constitutional instruments so that we can all safeguard this country. So I think
definitely the Constitution must guide them in whatever they're doing right now, plus the standing orders of the House.
Precisely.
Because in 4 weeks, they need to produce a report, and that report must contain some recommendations as to how to deal with this matter. So what are your expectations? What should go into these recommendations?
I think what should go into the recommendation, if it is something, we all need the truth. First of all, we need the truth to be established, whether or not there were, bribery, to corrupt, the members of the committee to pass somebody.
Okay, it so remains allegations.
Exactly, and so we need to be able to establish whether or not it's actually, happened. And then we should be able to find a mechanism such that Parliament will be able to go out there and chest out and say that they are ready, they themselves are ready to fight corruption. Because if they do not handle the matter very well, the image of Parliament is more like sinking, and it will not serve the interests of our, governance process. So we expect them to use their professional ethics, use the Constitution, and be able to, respect the citizens, that we are in democratic governance. And so one of the key things that we are looking for is the fact that we have the ability to more like fight corruption and be able to protect the public
and also ask for accountability from the people we put there to represent us.
They are the key pillars when it comes to democratic, governance.
And so they must
abide by all those.
Well, many thanks to David Agbe for passing through today's big story. So we've been talking about the 5-member committee of Parliament that's supposed to investigate some bribery allegations towards the Appointments Committee of Parliament. It started its work today. It has 4 weeks to come up with a report with recommendations. We'll be following up the issues and bring you all the updates in that issue. My name is Osei-Owusu. Good evening.